Hi, I'm Caesar, and a fun fact about me, when I was 22, I, in a way, inherited about $110,000 worth of debt. Um, I had to become responsible for my family's house mortgage and, all the utilities. Um, and so, yeah, and at the time I wasn't making a lot of money. So I was constantly broke and struggling. I found like I was just stuck in life. And slowly I became very interested in becoming like a minimalist. So I equated having less things to having more freedom. And that really, it helped me to feel how less can be more. Because in my story, having less gave me more time to myself. So since 22, I became more aware of what is actually meaningful in my life, and I found that just having more time with my family and doing the things that I actually love to do, instead of being caught in the rat race, was in a way like an open door to freedom. And so, yeah, there's this chapter called True Economics that really touched my heart in this book, A New Dawn, Society and Politics in the Light of Initiatic Science, that I would like to share. And this chapter, as soon as I saw it, it touched my heart. So, here we go.
Words from Within. Welcome to Omraam World.
Human beings are so designed that they always count on the support of someone or something. A woman counts on her husband, a man counts on his wife, children count on their parents. Also, everybody counts on money, circumstances, the weather, and so on. In itself, this is not bad. But what is bad is that people have got into the habit of always counting on something external. Are you ill? There are plenty of doctors and pharmacists. Are you ignorant? You can always go to a professor or a clairvoyant to tell you the future. Have you damaged your car? There are plenty of repair shops. Are you bored? There are cinemas, bars, nightclubs for your entertainments, etc. Life is so well organized to provide human beings with whatever they need that they have become very negligent. They know that they can always find something or somebody to get them out of a fix. They can go skiing and risk their lives on the slopes. If they break a leg, they can always go to hospital and get a plaster cast. If they are working at the top of a ladder, why bother to make sure that it can't slip? If they fall, someone will pick them up and take care of them. Why take care of their teeth? Dentists are always for that. Why be careful not to stain your clothes? There are many cleaning fluids on the market these days. And if they go for a walk in the forest and throw away a lighter cigarettes, why get all upset if it starts a forest fire? The fireman will come and put it out. Because of this attitude, people's powers of attention and their perspicacity, dexterity, wisdom, and intelligence are constantly diminishing. They see no reason to cultivate these qualities when society offers so many ways of remedying their mistakes. Technicians and researchers are all working to help humanity, but the fact of the matter is that they are not helping, for people are losing their personal initiative and becoming steadily lazier and less capable of doing things for themselves. They probably know more than they used to, but they are also much more careless and lackadaisical. I am not saying that we should put a stop to material progress. What I am saying is that we should also continue to work inwardly so as to grow in attentiveness, prudence, and self-control. Because if you break or dent something, for instance, Even though there are ways of repairing the damage, it will always bear the mark. It will never be perfect again. How much better it would be not to break it in the first place. Then, too, we have to remember that there's always a possibility of events occurring that would deprive us all of our comforts and facilities. Look at what happened with world supplies of oil, for instance. Only a few years ago, it was produced and consumed and wasted without restraint because people thought that it would always be there for the asking. And now? Progress is wonderful. It makes life so much easier. Believe me. I'm not against progress. On the contrary. In fact, I would mention several things that nobody has any suspicion of today and that science will discover in the future. But for the time being, the most important thing for you is to know and accept the truths that are capable of transforming you to improve your inner life before improving your external circumstances. Initiatic science tells us that, however great the benefits that come from outside ourselves, they will never fulfill us, for fulfillment can only be found in one's own efforts, in efforts of the will, the intelligence, and the imagination. In any case, you all know this. You all know that you find real satisfaction only in what you achieve for yourselves. You can never get the same joy and happiness from externals that are acquired without efforts, even money. Yes, everyone knows this, and yet everyone continues to look outside themselves for what they need. This is why their problems are never solved. However much you possess, however much other people give you, you must never abandon your own inner work. Keep working until the very last minute. No, I'm not against progress, but material progress is not true progress. Material progress is certainly to be encouraged, but you must never rely on it. See it as something magnificent, as something that opens up immense possibilities, but don't look to it for satisfaction. Look for satisfaction only from your work. What work? The only true work, spiritual work. So, as I say, it is fantastic to have so many tools and products to remedy our accidents and mistakes. Nowadays, everything can be patched up, glued together, cleaned, or mended. But the trouble is that nobody attaches any importance to the other aspect, to take care and attention that would lead to less breakages. No, nobody bothers about that. Why should they? As I have said, the pharmacies, hospitals, garages, laundries, and dry cleaners are there to remedy all the accidents and mistakes committed by human beings. Mankind continues to make progress in external things, however, but the situation on the inner level is deplorable. And then people ask about the economy. True economy is to use things with care and reason. Anything else is wasteful. Do young people know anything about economy? They squander all their strength and energy in mad schemes and the pursuit of sensations, and that is anything but economical. I am perhaps the only person in the world who understands economics correctly. People discuss the economy and study economic science, and I know nothing at all of that. But I know that economy is not what people think it is. Do you want to practice true economics? Do you want to be very rich to acquire a fortune in order to help others? In that case, you must become more attentive, enlightened, and reasonable. You must learn self-mastery. This is the only true economics. But no one expects to find economics in these things. And the most extravagant and ruinous spending is caused by economists because they have never studied true economics. Human beings have invented all kinds of conveniences to give themselves the favorable conditions they need in order to cultivate their facilities and talents. But there is one point that they have consistently overlooked, and that is the question of attention. There are several different kinds of attention. The kind that is most familiar to us is the deep and sustained mental application we need in order to do our work properly, listen to a lecture, or read a book. But there's another kind of attention, which we can call self-observation, consciousness, or analysis, and which consists in being aware at every moment of the day, and even of the night, of what is going on within oneself, of the currents, desires, and thoughts that go through one, and of the influences and impulses that move one. It is this kind of attention that is still not sufficiently developed. It is easy to pay attention to one's physical gestures. Anyone who works in a factory or a laboratory needs to do so, otherwise he might well lose a hand or a leg. But the kind of inner attention and vigilance advocated by the initiates is also unknown. And this lack is often at the origin of much suffering and many accidents and mishaps. People are unaware of what is going on within them. The Gospels tell us, "Be vigilant, because your adversary the devil walks about like a roaring lion, seeking whom he may devour." Don't worry, you will meet neither lion nor devil on the physical plane. The danger is lying in wait for you in your inner life. That is where all kinds of lusts, desires, ambitions, and passions prowl about, and if you are neither enlightened nor vigilant, they will devour you. Why do parents never think of fostering vigilance in their children? They should start to do so even when they are very young, for the lack of self-observation and analysis. This inattention to what goes on in one's inner sanctum is at the root of a great deal of suffering. This is why I tell you that the beginning of true economics is somewhere where you have never thought to look for it, in attention. It is staggering to see the number of means and products that exist to mend or renovate things that have been damaged, broken, or stained. And not only inanimate objects, but human beings as well. It's amazing. 1/2 of the world population works at repairing the damage done by the other half. Well, this is something that true economists should give more thought to. The fact that people rely too much on external means and tell themselves, why bother to take care when there are so many technicians and workers capable of mending whatever I break, including myself? The more conveniences people have, the less they develop the faculty of attention. And this is what destroys an economy. Too much has to be spent on repairs. Of course, I know very well that it is not the economist's point of view. Not only have they never envisaged the problem in this way, but their philosophy is diametrically opposed. They see that we must produce more and more goods, and in order to keep stocks rolling, people must buy as much as possible. They urge people to consume, therefore, and not only to consume, but to waste. The more goods they buy, the better it will be. If they are careless and wreck their car or break a major appliance in their home, so much the better. They will have to buy a new one. If they live irresponsibly and ruin their health, that, too, is all to the good. They will be contributing to a thriving pharmaceutical industry. Naturally, in this way, the commercial and financial affairs of certain individuals and countries will prosper, but for mankind as a whole, for its physical and psychological health and well-being, this conception of economics is ruinous and catastrophic. True economics, therefore, will not be found where most people look for it. True economics consists, in fact, in not wasting the forces, qualities, and energies that heaven has given us. True economics begins with wisdom, moderation, and attention. There are swarms of economists in the world today. Impossible to get away from them. But mankind will never find happiness by following their philosophy, because they see nothing but the material aspect of life and its problems. First and foremost, economics must begin on a higher level, the level of intelligence and the thoughts, words, and looks of human beings, in the way they live and behave. For it is not enough to avoid falling and injuring oneself or breaking something. You must also avoid transgressing laws of the invisible world. It often happens that, without in the least realizing it, a person triggers certain mechanisms, disturbs certain entities, or breaks certain laws on the psychic plane. And when this happens, he has to suffer the consequences and pay the penalty. One sometimes meets people who are always in a very attentive on the physical plane, and yet they fall ill. This is because through their thoughts, feelings, and desires, they have triggered a reaction from hostile forces. And now they are in bed and are going to have to spend a lot of time and money to be cured. There are a lot of people who are considered to be first-rate economists. They may look first-rate in the theory of economics, yes, but just look at how they live. Look at all the excesses they indulge in and all the waste in their lives. From the point of view of initiatic science, economics begins with the way we live. This is what I want to emphasize, therefore, the necessity for the inner attention, this constant awareness that allows you to see what is going on within yourself at every moment of the day or night, and to recognize the currents and influences that pass through you. Personally, I have practiced this wakefulness for so long that I know exactly what is going on within me at any given moment. I have trained myself to become fully conscious, and as I can recognize the origin and nature of every idea, thought, or feeling, I am in a position to take the necessary precautions. You must learn to be attentive. I have often asked someone, "What are you thinking about?" and heard the reply, "I don't know." He doesn't know because he has never looked into himself, and that means that any currents, any filth, any mental images, however frightful, are free to come and go at leisure, and he won't even notice. How can he hope to create a glorious future for himself in these conditions? It is possible to use your thoughts to create the future, but not if you are so utterly inattentive and unconscious. This is why children should begin their education by learning to be attentive. In every family, school, and university, young people must be taught to be attentive. As for you, the very first quality that you must acquire now that you're on the brotherhood is the quality of attention. Why do you think I have tried to get you into the habit of eating in silence, without making a noise with your knives and forks? 700 people eating together and not a sound to be heard. In order to help you to cultivate this faculty and vigilance, in order to teach you to control every single gesture, to use your knife and fork, and cut up your food without making a noise. If you want to acquire self-mastery, begin by practicing at meals. If you can learn to move all objects on the table without knocking them against each other, you will find that this harmony will be reflected in everything you do during the rest of the day. Yes, simply because you practice while you were eating. Then, not only will you make the effort not to make a noise, but you will begin to focus your attention on your food. From the first mouthful, you will be filled with wonder, what strength, what energy and vitality God has put into the mouthful of food. If you can learn to eat in the state of attention and harmony, you will be capable of undertaking all kinds of activities all day long without getting tired.